I really think with the movement and the pace of technology, so many disciplines are just flying and smashing together into one another because it's so accessible for people to learn different things.
Welcome to Set Life, where we tell stories from our industry. I'm Kelly Leger, and this is Amber Buteau. Hey guys, welcome to Set Life, coming to you from For the One Studios. We are here on Sound Stage 1, and today we have a special guest with us. Actually, we have another guest who's not really a guest. He's the cinematographer around here, Dan Rubottom.
Hey guys.
But also our guest, Justin Brown.
Hey.
Yeah.
And we are excited to hear about all this good stuff. These guys have known each other for a long time. We've known each other for a long time.
That's right.
We've only just met to make all that real confusing.
Right.
And but we're gonna have some fun conversations today. So let's just jump into it. And I mean, to start with, Justin, just tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Justin. I'm a motion designer and graphic designer. I'm a freelancer right now, and I've known Dan, like you said, for a long time. We met at Lakewood when I first moved down to Houston in 2011.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Wow. And what exactly? What's your has been your niche or what you've been focused on?
Well, it's funny because it always sort of changes over the years as you sort of learn more. I'm a really curious person, so that's how I've learned all these different sort of different sort of disciplines. But what I'm really enjoying is doing design and motion systems that sort of help facilitate people and companies putting their brand on Instagram, putting it on YouTube, and having it sort of all look consistent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Okay. So it's like
graphics packages.
Got it. So motion graphics packages, anything that
motion systems is the new word.
The
for
new
graphics
word.
Package.
Motion system.
Motion system.
Okay.
Well, because
you learn something new every day.
the reason for that is we have all you have brand identities, right? That teach you how to use the logo, teach you how to use the fonts, the colors, all that sort of things.
Yeah.
So motion systems is the same thing, just for motion design. Don't use this type of ease and curve. Use this type. Don't have letters bouncing in.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Our letters don't bounce at this brand.
It has a voice.
Okay.
So it's just translating a brand voice to motion concepts and integrating those things into those motion design principles.
Wow.
That is really cool.
That's super cool.
I learned something new, and I love the fact that this whole industry is kind of always evolving and metamorphosizing something, changing and kind of thinking of new ways to use it too.
Yeah.
Do you do any kind of motion in other types of discipline, beyond video? Is it translating outside of video in any kind of, or instructional? I don't know. There's just so many different.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that motion design shows itself. I think for me, I like doing what's called Lottie animations, which is you still use After Effects or you still use some sort of animation program, but it's animating for the web. And I've always been a curious guy with regard to technology. I have a computer science degree.
That explains it. That explains why he would. Okay. Yeah. Now it's.
So I've always been interested in coding and stuff like that. And so creating sort of animations with scripting or using scripting to sort of automate processes has been another way that motion design has sort of evolved as technology evolved as well.
In practice, just so I'm clear, that would be I go to a website and I see something moving around.
Yeah, so you see something moving around, or you see some sort of interaction where as you scroll, an animation starts playing, or the content on the website moves or pops in some way, shape, or form.
An Apple.com website.
Yeah, if you scroll, it sort of unfolds some sort of product.
Okay.
And so, and really that's a PNG sequence, right? And as you scroll, it's telling the browser to play certain clips of this PNG sequence.
Okay.
So that's...
Do you know that kind of coding, how to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so, yes. Yes. To answer your question.
So if you've ever wondered why that does that and how that does that, it's this guy.
This is the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
what's happening to my?
Yeah. Why is this all doing it?
Right
It's
now?
his
I don't know,
fault.
I'm
He
just
did
trying to
this.
scroll down.
Yeah, there's different, web
Yeah.
technologies that allow people to integrate. And I really think with the movement and the pace of technology, so many disciplines are just flying and smashing together into one
Yeah.
another because it's so accessible for people to
Yeah.
learn different things and
Wow.
keep on going. And so
Wow.
that's how I am. I'm just curious about a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
I mean, we've talked about nerding out on
Mhm.
previous episodes,
Mhm.
and this is kind of going nerdy. But I will
Got
say,
nerdy
Can't
really
wait.
quickly.
You
But-
can't wait.
the amazing thing about Justin, if I may, is that he brings that aspect, but with the design aesthetic
Mm.
is very strong. He looks at, he designs just beautiful images.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
just so the ability to kind of combine those two,
The
to make
science
them
and the
work together.
tech. And, yeah.
See, I told him I was going to be his hype man.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.
But it's true though. I've watched him over the years, and so he does really amazing work. So
Wow.
just watching you doing the character animation
Mhm.
stuff and After
Yeah.
Effects. I remember you were I think you were learning. So you told me you were taking some class or something.
Yeah.
Maybe, and-
Probably I'm always taking
Yeah.
some sort of course or trying to pursue some sort of way to continue my education because this is the craft, this is the gift. I'm thankful for God to have this much of an interest in this space because a lot of people wake up and just absolutely hate what they do.
Right.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, very grateful to still have this curiosity to still sort of drive forward and try to learn new things about, what I'm doing and, the gifts that I've been given. So
That's right. That's
Wow.
right.
Well, tell us about your journey. Where did this start? Where did the inspiration come? How did you even get started in all this? And what did it look like?
Well, I've drawn since I was really, really little. And I remember a story way back whenever I was in third grade. I was drawing, so I had this pencil box and it had a little turtle on it. And so I was drawing it. I was looking at it and I was drawing it. And I was doing this for different students in the class. It was second or third grade. And the teacher came by and she was like, "Hey, Justin, did you trace that?" And I was like, I didn't know what the word trace actually meant.
Right.
And so I was like, "No, I looked at it and drew it." And she was like, "It's not good to tell a lie." And I went to a Christian school. And so I went to a Christian school from kindergarten to fourth grade. And so that's back whenever
something.
they still had they allowed kids to get swats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I got sent to the principal's office because this woman thought that I was lying to her. And so
Because he was so good.
Wow.
yeah. And so and I remember telling my mom and dad, and she was just like, sometimes adults, we have a hard time accepting and understanding, some of the gifts that children have been given.
Mm.
And so she was like, "You just keep on drawing, just keep on, And so, that's always stayed with me.
Wow.
And so later on, I started getting a hold of Photoshop, and I pay for it now, but back then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you think.
getting a hold of Photoshop.
yeah.
So
You were learning.
I was learning.
Yes.
So I
Education.
started messing around with that and started making flyers for different things. And I was still in high school. Wasn't really doing anything with it because at that time I was actually more concerned with football.
Mhm.
And so, being from Oklahoma,
Oh.
yeah. I was trying to be a good Oklahoma boy and
Yeah.
ride football until the wheels
There you
fell
go.
off. And
Okay.
so that's what I was really passionate about was sports
Mhm.
and trying to go to the league and stuff like that, like every kid is.
Yes.
And so that led me to looking up because I was still wanting to do something with art, and so I was like, well, animation. I was really inspired by old school Disney movies, the Robin Hoods. I remember me and my sister used to watch
Mm-hmm.
these Disney classics and sing-alongs and
Like
stuff like
Fox Robin Hood.
yeah, like with the
Wow.
All right.
all like
We had a moment. We had a moment. Ah.
you were from my era.
Yeah, buddy.
Robin, Little John walking through the forest.
Oh, what are we doing in this episode? I love it.
We'll be back after this messages.
Yeah, so that's the animation and stuff that inspired me to like kind of keep drawing and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I was like, well, I guess people can do that with computers. So I was like, okay, well, let me pursue something with like computers.
Right.
And so the junior college that I went to, again, I was going there to try to have a better shot at getting a scholarship to play football somewhere else.
Right.
And so I went there and I was like, hey, do you guys, do computer animation, at the registrar's office? Yeah, we have computers.
We have computers.
And so that's how I got an associate's in computer science. Cause
We have computers.
So I thought it was like, oh, computer science, I'm going to learn how to like animate stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I learned how to program
You
stuff.
learned how to-
Right.
Numbers.
So I was like, what is this if statement? What are these what is this?
Oh my gosh.
So but it's the way that God works. Because whenever I got out of college, that was some of the first things that I was doing on the side, was doing websites for people.
Oh.
Design,
Yes.
websites,
Yeah.
all those things. Those were
Right.
the first things that I was doing.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's sort of how.
Wow. How it all started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah. So what happened after that? Like what was the next thing?
Oh, so I went to University of Tulsa, and that's where I started doing graphic design.
Okay.
And so I was there. I was learning for a bit, and it was all good. And and this is how I knew that I was going to quit football. So I had an apartment that was next to the stadium. We had a game. I was redshirted that year. After I walked on again, I was redshirted the year that I
Okay.
walked on.
Okay.
And so we had like a senior night. I wasn't a senior then. I was a junior then, but we had a senior night. And the coach was like, hey, I know we don't usually dress everybody, but I want everybody to be dressed because it's senior night. It's an important game, so,
Get
oh
ready.
man,
Get ready. Yeah.
he's going to see this and make me go run. So instead of going to the game, I said, no, I'm not going to the game. I stayed in my apartment and I drew. I charcoal drawings. I broke that out and I drew for like 16 hours that day.
Wow.
Didn't eat nothing. Didn't sleep. Just didn't go outside. I heard all the sirens going off whenever we would score a touchdown. And after that, I was like,
Wow.
I need to quit playing football. This is
Wow.
not for me anymore.
Wow.
And so it was just one of those moments where it was just like this is what you're good at.
Wow.
This
You
is
just
this
knew,
is what
like, at that
this is what I
moment.
want you to do.
Yeah.
This is what I want you to do. Don't worry about that. That's not for you.
Wow.
This is what I want you to do.
Wow.
And
This is
so
a defining moment.
it
Totally.
really
For you.
was early in I guess my learning. That was really a defining moment for me to sit there and ignore and like I didn't even have to make myself, but to put something down that I love so much.
Mhm.
Because I'd played football since 8th grade at that
Mhm.
point. And so that was something that I really, really, really wanted. Like my friends were, getting scholarships to go to these D1 schools.
Yeah.
All this stuff was happening. And it was just like, what about me? And then in that moment, it was like, this is you.
Wow.
Like, this is part of what I want you to do.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's,
Wow.
and so after that next Monday or that next, I didn't quit that season because we still had some more games or
Mhm.
They
whatever.
let you play after that?
Huh? No, I didn't play at all. I didn't
Yeah.
play at all.
Yeah.
And so after I finished out that season, and I said, hey, I went to my strength and conditioning coach. I said, hey, I'm not playing anymore. And then I went and told the other coaches, some of my friends. It's like, man, you can't quit. You love football. Da, da, da. It's like, you're gonna be able to play next year. Da, 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 da. We've got people graduating, and I didn't care.
Wow.
I didn't care. I said, this isn't something that I need to be pursuing right now, because it happened like after I did that, I got an opportunity to leave school and go model.
Oh,
And go model.
wow.
That's how I met my wife.
Oh,
So
sick.
we're gonna now throw some modeling in the middle of this thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Multi-talented.
from 2000, so I graduated in 2001. stop doing math for all you young people. 2001, I graduated high school. And then 2003, and then 2005, I left in 2005. I went and did that. I met my wife in Chicago. It was back then it was Ebony Magazine.
Okay.
And they're still actually trying to they're making a comeback and whatnot because they had gone through some sort of restructuring and stuff like that. But we went around to all these different cities all across America. We went to Canada, we went to the Bahamas, and we put on a fashion show. And I met my wife, and she is filled with the Holy Spirit, and I was not expecting to meet a God-fearing woman at this place, and so
God-fearing model. Poor you.
Yeah,
it's just
rare combination, possibly.
It's been such a hard life, but we all have to bear our cross.
Bear our cross.
Jesus help us today.
So rough.
Wow, man. Traveling around to these islands.
Yeah, life was rough.
It was so tough then because but we started dating, and then I proposed to her and we got married, and then we stayed on the tour for another year, and then we came back to Tulsa. And she's from Virginia, so like her being in central United States was just not there wasn't it.
Right.
That was not it whatsoever. And so but she had the grace to allow me to come back, finish school. So I finished up school, got my first job out of college, working at a small production company in Tulsa, C9 Productions.
Okay.
Man by the name of Johnny Graham gave me a job.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I know Johnny.
You know Johnny.
Yes.
Johnny
Well,
Graham.
Susie, she used to. Speaking of makeup, your wife does makeup now.
Yeah.
All our productions I do.
Yeah.
Susie used to do makeup for Time 2 when I was doing Carmen's show back in the 90s. Years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
So Cloud9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I forgot you were at Cloud9. That's crazy. It's a small world. Sorry, we're just having a conversation.
So we started calling it like C9.
Oh, okay.
Because in Tulsa, there's a strip club called Cloud9.
Oh, yeah. Let's.
And
where you work.
Yeah. So where you working?
No. So we had no. This is so bad. We had somebody call, and it was like early in the morning.
Model. I'm a model at Cloud9 over here.
So we had somebody call and was like, "Hey, are y'all serving breakfast?" And then we didn't know what they were talking about, and they were like, y'all open. This is Cloud9, right? And we realized he was talking about the strip club. It's like, no, this is C9 Production Company. This is like, so C9 was like officially like
that day.
That day at that moment, Johnny was like, C9. Yes.
We are now C9. We do not serve breakfast, whatever that means.
No breakfast. We don't know what that means.
No, but so I got a job. I worked there for about a year. And then I got the opportunity to come down to Houston and work at Lakewood.
That's right. And then the rest is history.
The rest is history. And then I met Dan Rubottom, and then my life started.
Yeah.
Wow. What was that like for you guys? Okay, at Lakewood, how did y'all work? Did you work together?
Yeah, we did on some projects. So I was like a editor, producer of special projects. I would do like video openings and commercials, and then we would collaborate. Like if he would do a graphic element, or I would give him part of the project, or vice versa.
Yeah.
We would it just depended on the project, you know. And he was really a specialist in motion design. But I was more of an editor, director, DP that also did motion graphics.
Okay.
So when it needed an extra level of skill or something else, or just like the brand, like you would do more of the high level brand things, I think. And
I think one of the it started off slow because I started off as, just a senior graphic designer. And so I would do a lot of the ministry stuff or a lot of the church ministry stuff
Right.
and very little of like Joel Osteen ministry encompassing brand. And
Until they
so-
saw, yeah. You're like, oh, this-
Until they were like, oh,
give
this
you
is
some
what
more
we actually
stuff.
hired you for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was doing a lot of graphics packages and stuff like that. Ended up going on Night of Hope tours.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was fun.
And you would do some of the specialized graphics for something like the ribbon, right?
Yeah,
around
ribbon board, all the
building.
stadium
Yeah.
stuff. We went to, a lot of what city was that? Did we go to? We were actually roommates.
Oh, that's right.
Was that San Francisco?
It might have been. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. My daughter went on that one with us. I'm trying to remember. It was around that time.
Yeah,
Or was it DC maybe?
It could have been DC that we were roommates.
DC was 10 though. That was sorry. We're just,
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah. So
Yeah.
we got a lot of fun things. A lot
Yeah.
of fun projects,
Wow.
and experiences there. And,
So I'm curious. Okay, so you guys have this huge, vast experience in this in this world that you're talking about. How has things changed in terms of how you learn? Like I'm thinking of like somebody who's watching, they're interested in motion graphics, they're interested in compositing, design, so on and so forth. How has it changed in how you learn and even how you get involved in industry now from like where you started? I think it was very traditional, but now there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues that I think the most important thing is getting and being around people that like prove to you that where you're going does exist. Getting around mentors, I think it's important to sort of experiment the stuff that you love doing and get that stuff posted. There's different sorts of there's all kinds of tutorials on YouTube. I think the first part of my After Effects journey was just YouTube and Andrew Kramer. Like Video
man, Andrew,
Copilot.
yeah.
Video Copilot.
Yes.
Video Copilot.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
I worked
genius,
my way
man.
through like all of those tutorials.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of
Yeah.
that's how I learned After Effects.
Yeah. No, he was very influential. That early kind of online course kind of stuff, or before. I think he was kind of doing it even before YouTube.
Yeah.
He had his own website. You'd check out videocopilot.net every day.
See
or
if he
whatever,
posted
if there's a new tutorial. But yeah, there's so many great things like that now, and back it used to be just like books and who you got to watch. If you got in the room with someone, which is still a great way to learn, is watch someone like in real time how they approach a project, like this design problem or color as a colorist or an editor, sound designer. Just see how someone else does it. It may inspire you to think of something differently and then take a little bit of that and then do your own, add your own special thing to it. So that's always fun.
Yeah, it's I'd say it also has changed up in the sense that you don't have to go to the traditional school.
Right.
You don't have to do that. There's places like schoolofmotion.com. There's other places, Skillshare. There's YouTube. Like you can learn anything, anywhere, at any time. Now, that journey is like this, but I think any journey is like that's one of the biggest things that I've found in life is like there's no learning path that's just linear.
Right.
Nothing is linear in life, and so it's like you're, but that's part of the joy because you pick up a lot of things along the way that sort of refine how you navigate that path.
Yeah.
And so
Very true.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about this is an interesting one, right? So everything about our industry involves other people. You're very rarely isolated, even though we're like staring at a computer, even though we're editing or we're designing
Many
or
late
whatever.
nights by yourself.
Overnights, many overnights.
Yeah.
Every time I do an overnight, I swear it's my last one. I'm like, never
Yeah,
again.
that's
I'm
how-
never doing
yeah.
it.
yeah.
And-
Until the morning, you're
and
like, okay, I got a little sleep. I'm okay now.
But it's always about other people. You either got like a director, you got a designer, you're working, like you said, you'd work together and do. How are those collaborations? Like what is the best way to work with people? Because that's a whole skill set in itself that, stepping on one another's toes versus letting somebody run with something versus directing. Like, how have you guys, walked that out? Because you have a producer, you have somebody. Very rarely is your project all by itself, all encompassing, especially with graphics and things,
Yeah, well, I always think it's a good idea to try to find out who is driving the project, like who asked you to do it, like who's the client,
Yep.
and then find out how do you give back to them in your own way. Like they're coming to you for your talent, but how do you reflect back to them what they're looking for? So I'm always trying to figure out how I can kind of get inside their head a little bit, because a lot of time, and just ask a lot of questions,
right?
But if they're not really giving you the answers, and they're like, well, I don't know, I'll know it when I see it. Just a lot of,
I hate the answers.
okay, so I got to just go through 5 revisions and just stab at it.
Yeah.
But try to, okay, what are they like? What do they like?
Right.
The things they like on, whether it's design wise or just clothing, or what is their style like?
Yeah.
Just try, or they're if they're a minister or a product manager or something, what is it that they're trying to convey and communicate, and try to reflect back to that to them,
right,
in whatever medium you're using.
Yeah. I'd say for me, working in a collaborative space, I think, and this is something that personally happened to me, is just starting from a place of humility and understanding that you don't have all the answers,
right?
That other people are involved. And I think this is where some of those soft skills that they don't teach you in school come into play, being overly overly communicative is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
sounds good.
Going, if it's not, it is now.
It is now.
I understood what you were saying.
You understood what I was saying.
Communicated.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so for especially in the space of like freelance, understanding that people are trusting you to like go off and do something by yourself, although you are part of a bigger team that's sort of doing something else. Developing those soft skills of communication and going out of your way to be like, hey, here's an update. Hey, this is where I'm at with this process.
Yes.
Right.
And so I think one, starting from that place of humility sort of sets you up to be like, okay, I'm in this process because they think that I can bring value to it. And if you get not over your head, but if you sort of get a big head about that, like I'm the main part of the show,
right?
That really just kind of cuts you off from future opportunities as well, because you never know who's working on that project. You never know what they're going to say about you whenever you're not in the room.
Right.
And so a lot of opportunities that I've had to work with certain brands or certain agencies is because of people talking about me when I'm not there. And and how people talk about you when you're not there is branding.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I love that perspective.
That's what branding is.
Yeah, that's right.
And so people talk about personal branding, and I think personal branding starts with how humble are you and respectful of other people's spaces and the talent that they bring. And so
I love that, man. I don't even know if I've ever heard somebody talk about
Say that again.
From the positive. Yeah. Because most people are like, oh, they're talking when I'm not there.
Yeah.
People are going to talk about you when you're not there. That's like, life. But how are they talking
about you whenever you're not there? That's your personal branding. And really what you want to have come forward in that personal branding, for me, is my relationship with Christ.
Right.
And it's like, he has brought me from a place of, insecurity, a place of feeling like, nothing, like how much insecurity was trying to be established whenever I was getting passed over to play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well now I'm going to, really prove them wrong and have this chip on my shoulder. Like, God doesn't need that, because he's given me something. He's given you something. He's given us all something that he wants us to use. And so whenever we start from that place of humility, that's whenever Christ can really do what he's supposed to do. And that's whenever you leave the room and he takes care of it.
I love it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love that. I love that so much.
That's so good.
Okay, I got time for like one more question. This is, okay, when a client comes to you and they have an idea about a project. Now, sometimes, you'll have a client who's got it all together, rarely. But they have a board, they have a script, they have designs, they have whatever. You can, take that and it, helps you. A guide, at least, nothing else. What about when they really don't? You know, I mean, what's the best way they're describing their idea so that you don't have to go through 5,000 revisions? You know, what's the best way to do that? Are you referencing material? How do you help them hone in their thing without being all over the map and taking forever?
That's a tough one.
So for me personally, I start to try to point them in the direction of, okay, Pinterest is a really good way to do this. Just sort of sending out ideas of what like their idea of the end looks like, where they say, okay, I like this, I like these things, sort of feeding them a lot of things that they can like and look at and take in and say, okay, why do you like those things?
Right.
Yes.
What do you like about this? What do you like about this? What do you like about this? And then really that's sort of gets into some of those soft skills about really listening. And it's because in this space, nobody really cares about your personal opinion.
Right.
Like we are great, we are creative, but at the end of the day, the client is hiring you because they don't know how to use the software.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And so you have to, now I'm not saying do them a disservice by not offering up professional advice and saying, hey, if you did it this way, this is going to help in the back end because of XYZ. I'm not saying deny them that conversation.
Right.
But I am saying, like, when they say, hey, no, I want this specifically, you have to sort of,
Right.
hey, this is what you want. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
I've told you from a professional perspective why you should do it this way.
Right.
But anyways, all that to say, I think sort of establishing and getting them to verbalize more about what they like about certain things, I think helps put it in perspective of like, okay, they like this, this, and this, and like, how do you rip story out of that? Like they like the color palette of this, they like the font selection over here, they like this image. Well, what is that image saying? Is it a dynamic image? Is it an image where people are in action? Do they want something that's more impactful? Do they, what do they love about these colors? Because the color palette would say something.
Right.
They love these colors. Is it more calming? Do they want, a piece of content that speaks to that? And so like, I think that sort of puts you down the direction or down a path that's going to be somewhat accessible for the client's mind, to actually say like, oh yeah, that's how you get past that's how I've gotten past I'll know when I see it. So, well, let me put a bunch of stuff in front of you that you can see.
Then you can.
Then you can know those things, and then I'll do those things,
Yes.
and then we can keep going.
It makes it tangible.
It makes it tangible.
narrow it
You
down.
give them something that's tangible because they don't understand our language.
Yes.
Right.
They don't understand.
They're like, what do you mean?
Right.
They don't understand rough cuts. They don't understand storyboards.
No, they will never understand a rough cut. You
They
can
don't-
say rough cut in all caps.
Well, why
on the
why is
file.
why is there pencil drawings everywhere?
Yeah.
Is that the final? No, rough cut.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why is there a timestamp on this? What-
Right.
No, we don't. Is that a subtitle? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Man, we could go and go and go because we're all geeks on these subjects.
Yeah.
And
It's good stuff.
And we can't. But man, Justin, thank you so much.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
Good
you.
conversations.
I appreciate
love
you.
it. I took some nuggets home from this one for
Yeah.
sure, man. Really good. Justin Brown, everybody.
Yes.
Justin, how do people get in contact with you? How do they get to know you, hire you, etc.?
So my website is thebrownCrayon.com. I do design, motion graphics, illustration, 3D and 2D, in the 3D and 2D space. I have another service called Motion Desk where I help underserved teams who might be resource strapped to be able to subscribe to a service where they can get these things in a fast and reasonable, affordable way.
Awesome.
Amazing. Hire this man.
Oh, yeah, please,
Seriously.
man.
Yeah.
You got it all.
Best. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been fun, but we're going to see you next time on another Set Life.